those Widowmaker and Sombra performances Canada will need to get them across the line.
Yeah, and I feel like the meta right now is really strong for XQC. You know, some aggressive play, but then also, you know, considering how much of the ladder he plays, right, just on his stream on a daily basis, like he has so much practice going against, you know, playing against Doomfist and Sombra and like all these different types of things.
It also is why he has a permanent nervous twitch walking around because he knows what he's about to have to face in this current meta. It's interesting. XQC is super, super ramped up. We heard from Jane that his communication was excellent on roster. Yesterday in his pool stream, I'm sure you guys have all seen it. He tried to give us an idea of what we'd sound like. Yeah. I don't think I've ever made the sound when I've been casting, but I appreciate the attempt at a comparison.
All right, we have a surprise here from Switzerland. 3 tanks, 3 supports. Don't see this often. I'm kidding. See this all the time.
This is the go-to.
Yeah, it'll be Farah, Sombra here for Canada. They will not run 3 tanks, 3 supports. Sure4 knows exactly what Switzerland is going to do. Maybe they're thinking they're going to come in with like a tracer or something. You can't catch them off guard.
You can't do this. Like, you know you're going to get scouted out early, man. Like, it's really hard to obscure anything you're doing. Quick fade back in. That would have been nasty for Scorpion if he'd gone over the edge so early in the fight. But Agilities puts the fear of God into Switzerland thus far. But it's Batty the first to fall. Whip shot from Shinoda to send him packing.
And also to sit there in the back and wait there for Switzerland. Like, if you've watched any of Canada's games all weekend, they have run this comp pretty much on this point every single time. Sure4 has been on the Sombra a lot this weekend. Should have expected that to happen, although they do take the point here first.
Yeah, move in with that very durable 3-3 composition. They've lost Lux now, though, so again, barrier's not going to be able to be given out. Still defense matrix to protect against the barrage. Right in the face is the flight, of course, from Keeper to try and shut down Agilities, but the rest of Canada come charging in. XQC for 2. Crimso bringing Agilities back late in the fight.
And Canada plays that smart. They just sit right outside of the point. They don't need to go in when Switzerland's controlling it. And then Agilities just sits in the back and just pokes and pokes and pokes until he gets a pick, and then they just move on in. The Farah just provides so much splash damage. You see the Reinhardt with the shield in the sky, maybe 7 there, just trying to block any rockets coming on in.
Oh, they're going to walk into an EMP.
Yeah, it's going to be a big one.
Oh, that's so nasty. Every one of Switzerland are hacked, unable to use their abilities. And now they're just being herded onto the point. It's much easier for Canada just to splash the damage over them. And that'll be it. The fact of the matter is, Matthew, this 3-3 composition that Switzerland are running ostensibly don't have the tools to deal with Sombra. Even if they know, they know Sure4's hanging out behind them. They can't do anything about it because, they can try and spy check, I guess, and spam a little bit with the D.Va, and hopefully maybe when they do that, they can shield bash the Sombra and try and remove her while she's stunned, but that's it.
And even if the Farah doesn't work, let's say, the point flips back in favor of Switzerland, Agilities can just go over to Doomfist and you can get Nana in and get some damage out. It'll be a rocket barrage on the point there. Agilities put down some extra splash damage, he'll get a D.Va D-Mac.
He probably just wants to get the D-Mac there. He doesn't expect too much more because Defense Matrix is going to mitigate so much of the damage from that barrage. But unfortunately, that's damage that Canada may have needed actually over the rest of the Switzerland bodies here because they've managed to weather the storm quite admirably. Canada is sent back. Now, a couple ultimates out of Canada there. You did see the barrage being used, but look at Agility's ult percentage. This is what you get when you're playing against a very closely clumped team of players. Very easy to get that damage.
I mean, Agility's right now sitting at 6,600 damage. Switzerland is a team at 6,900.
Right.
So you can see how much extra damage he's putting down. You do have this grab here, not going to use it. That's going to be,
beautiful!
It's going to be an EMB plus a self-destruct. We've seen that combo a lot. I know, I was playing some games last night. Just playing Sombra, just being able to coordinate with whether it's your D.Va or your Reinhardt. It's fairly easy to pull off as long as they have a mic, right? So you expect these teams to be able to do it with relative ease. I'm surprised we don't see Switzerland and Austria and some of these other teams came in and they're like, okay, the easiest composition we can play is to play 3 tanks, 3 supports. It's like, well, to coordinate an EMP plus one of these other ultimates isn't that hard either, and you just have a lot more versatility. I'm surprised you haven't seen them try it.
Barrage here is an option for Agilities. He does by the go. The Graviton Surge. XQC caught up in the middle of that. Fortunately, due to primal range, he's able to hang on and stay alive. Drops in over the top. Crimso giving a little bit of healing as he goes, but Batty's missing already here. Brought back to life, but Agilities actually takes himself down. So as fast as Canada are able to bring their players back, they're losing them here, and Switzerland put themselves in a good position. They spend a lot of ultimates in order to get into pole position for this next fight. But it's as much as you can hope for here. A sound barrier will go a long way for Switzerland. They need to get it off before Shore EMPs.
I was just going to say that. You don't know if they're even going to be able to get it off because they have to stay clumped so close together.
They need to be preemptive, right?
Well, especially if Agilities is putting down so much damage. You need all the healing you can get here from Remix and the rest of the supports. That
Remix is playing the low ground here. He's actually trying to avoid getting hit by the EMP. He knows it's going to be coming, so stay out of harm's way. Now wall right up, hit the sound barrier, but it's too late. Agility's already found 2, 3, in fact, of course, with a knockoff. And you can see the idea there for Switzerland, Matt. They get themselves to 99, but they're nowhere to be seen, and Canada will retake control. And they're looking like they're going to claim the round. Lux is going to try and run it out here with the Tracer, but no, he's too far away. Not terrible for Switzerland at all, Matt. You can see what they're trying to do. I appreciate the presence of mind that Remix displayed, you know, avoiding that EMP, but he had a split second to get back to his team, and it was just too late.
It was the smart play to do. I mean, it's really the only play they could have done in that situation. Stay out of line of sight, and you see him come up there with that sound barrier. So much damage. You don't have to worry about the defense matrix when you have that rocket barrage there. The D.Va can't fly at you because there's obviously none of her abilities are on line, so you have nothing to worry about there if your Agilities. Just laying down all that damage with that rocket barrage, which usually you don't see rocket barrage gain a ton of kills. It's usually when you end up dying more often than not.
Yeah, and it is often because of D.Va. 45% of his team's damage for Agilities. Agilities himself has more damage done than the entirety of the Switzerland roster combined right now. He's got 12.5k damage. Switzerland have about 11.8. That's a lot.
Yeah, Switzerland with a ton more healing, but that's obviously, you know, with the big bodies, the 3 supports, it's going to happen. They threw another tank in here, so we're going to see quad tank come out from Switzerland, which it's an odd decision because you give Surefour more easy targets.
Oh, this is so nasty!
Yeah. Well, look, you give Surefour more easy targets to just farm up his EMP, right? Sombra shooting big bodies, charges the ult faster, and then same with Agilities playing Pharah. Now you have Lux switching over to the Widowmaker here. Probably
he can't stay on this though, surely.
No, I don't think so. I thought he may just take a few shots out of the spawn at the swap.
Now, Matt, normally we see it at differing levels of play as well, that Pharah on her own isn't really enough to, you know, destroy this 3-3 comp. Sometimes the damage is just not sufficient, but here it seems to be, well, a big part of what is breaking Switzerland down to size.
I mean, they haven't really done anything to deal with the Pharah in the sky. Usually you see like a D.Va go up there and try and just push her back a little bit or do anything, but really haven't seen any response this Pharah. Now they're going to run a Pharah of their own here. At least Shinoda picking up the Pharah from Switzerland. Lux still on this Widowmaker. You can't really find these sight lines though.
No, I mean, Agilities may not even have been aware that there was a Widowmaker. He might have tapped and checked at one point, but he hasn't been bothered by it. And that's the problem with Widow here, is that a Sombra, if you get a hack in there, or you find Widow without the grappling hook available, you can burst it down pretty fast. And there it is, Agility's now going to come forward a little bit more. Caduceus Blaster attempts here, and Lux does find the pick from spawn. There's only 9 health on the Pharah, so just a tap would have done the job, but you have to wonder if he stays in this pick.
Yeah, right before Surefour takes out Lux playing Widow, he actually gets a hack on Kiba, who's playing the D.Va. So D.Va potentially could have been near that Widow, not able to use the defense matrix to turn around. Okay. Land a few headshots on that Widowmaker, who thinks they're probably going to be protected by the D.Va and doesn't even use the grapple to get out of harm's way.
I find this really interesting, Matthew. We're actually seeing a Genji here for Canada. Now, it doesn't really do much to Pharah in most cases. Perhaps that's just not the point. EMP making it all too easy for the rest of Canada to roll over the top. But what do you think? Is it the Genji just to shut the Widow down indefinitely?
Yeah, I think they want to get aggressive. I think they're not worried about the Widow really at all. And then I think that, you know, the Pharah up in the sky, I think Nope can really handle it. So I think you bring the Genji in, you can get really aggressive, you can take advantage of them trying to play this Widowmaker.
XQC there with a few really nice kills at the end with his Primal Rage just to close that fight out. Switzerland now coming back for another attempt. They do have the Transcendence in play, but they've already lost Mimi and Kiva's mech. They need that one back. They're going to do anything really here at all. The barrage for Shinoda is to no avail. And it's Lux on the point on Tracer. Kiva's there. Remix also, just 3 players remaining here for Switzerland, and they do not have much damage to really offload. Agilities, though, has plenty. A shutout here in the second part of Ilios, and that's our first map done.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty clean there for Team Canada. I know, you look at the damage overall done between the two teams. 41k for Canada. It's only 18k for Switzerland. You know, when you're playing those heavy tanks and you have like a Reinhardt in there, Reinhardt's got to do a lot of the damage, right? And when you have like D.Va, Zarya, especially if you're not winning a lot of these fights. Zarya is not going to hold a ton of charge. At Mimi 7, they're just not able to stay alive long enough to be able to put down significant damage as Reinhardt. And that's why you see the disparity in damage so large. And
you mentioned as well that Agilities wasn't getting a lot of attention from Kiba on that Diva. You know, we talk about Farah is not necessarily, you know, going to be enough in and of itself to deal with a 3-3 comp, but Agilities was connecting with a lot of those rockets and wasn't really being bothered at all. Diva obviously can get up there. If you want to, you know, go away and you can put an Ana in place of the Moira in this composition, we're starting to see a little bit more of that. Switzerland could have done that and threatened them down, but when you've got a Farah being pocketed by a Mercy, it can be very, very hard to deal with, even with hit-scan heroes, and that compromises your 3-3 approach entirely anyway.
Yeah, now Canada and USA, you know, they've won a lot of these first maps. I think all of them. They've gone to basically King's Row every second map. I think it's probably where Switzerland will take them. King's Row.
Where else is this composition Switzerland want to run really shine?
Right, but it's so obvious at this point. And Canada and USA, you have great counters to it, so why just keep playing it over and over again?
That's it's difficult as well, Matthew, because, I mean, Canada, yeah, this map is everyone's bread and butter when it comes to Overwatch, right? So when this is your golden ticket as a team who's lost map 1, it's like, okay, we're going to go to King's Row because that's where it suits us better. You're still going up against a team who's played tons of King's Row. And it's not like a random pick that it's like, oh, this is like our home ground. We're really going to make this work. But this is what happens when you have 15 maps in the pool.
Well, it's also like when you have like whether it's a map pick or a map veto. Like I remember when I was coaching, it was like, oh, well, we're really good at this map. Let's pick this one. But it's like, well, everybody plays that, and everybody's pretty good at that map. Just try and pick a map that you can throw the other team off guard. Like, I'm surprised none of these teams like came in and it's like, okay, like, you know, let's practice a map like Numbani the entire time. Like, really get really good at that and come in and pick it, right? Where, you know, some of these other teams, they probably expected everybody to come in, pick King's Row, and
that's also the difficulty as well, though, man, is that you say to yourself, well, is that us preparing then to lose maps? Like, we're preparing to lose by, you know, having this map pool. It's like, if you want to prepare to win, then you have to say, well, we could play any map.
Yeah, but they have to have one map that they can always fall back on for each game mode, right? Like, whether
King's Row maybe not the one.
King's Row, everybody plays.
Yeah.
So it's kind of difficult to be like, okay, we have the advantage over these teams playing King's Row because we believe our triple tank, triple support is just better, but it's clear that there have been counters to it.
Okay, this is an interesting setup here. So Canada with single support Mercy. So we are seeing a lot of Ana as that single support. It may be because Bunny needs to be able to access
well,
okay,
playing Zen. So.
Okay, well, you know what? All the academic nature of this needs to probably be thrown out the window. So Crimson obviously on that Sombra, so you do have 2 supports there. Reasonable. Surefire on the Bastion. He loves to play it. We love to see it. And Canada will be playing around him.
Yeah, and they know they're going to jump right onto the point, so what looks like it's going to happen, they're going to run to the point. XQC is actually going to jump and probably knock them back into line of sight here.
On the point of Switzerland. Now, it's about not giving them a tick, so XQC has to contest in a huge numbers disadvantage if he wants to sort of prevent that from happening. Switzerland are very close, but they backed off the point. They've noticed now there's something's up. Something's not quite right.
But even if Switzerland gets to the point, how are they dealing up with the Bastion up on the high ground? Is you see Surefour trying to get into turret mode there.
Bastion doesn't have a lot of shielding, right? So if their attention is going to be focused on Surefour, he'll need to move. Look at that, he's actually being pressured on the high ground here by Kiba. So now that Diva started to get fairly busy. Mimi 7 follows up with a fire strike to Surefour and charges Agilities down. And Canada's strategy on this first point, I agree, it was ambitious. There's definitely, you know, a testing nature to it, but it doesn't pay off.
Yeah, note on the Zenyatta, something we have not seen.
I mean,
ever really.
He's got Transcendence. He's got about 30% of his team's damage. So.
I wonder how long they stay on this. As looks like Crimzo is going to play Ana now for Canada, but Surefour still rolls out here on the back.
Oh, I know what he's saying to his team. Guys, I almost have tank configuration. There's no way I'm switching right now. XQC to Reinhardt, obviously, which is customary. Winston really doesn't afford you a heck of a lot of value as a main tank in this part of the map, given just how straightforward it is. There's a bit of verticality, but most of the fighting happens boots on the ground. Here's that coalescence now. Switzerland Agilities has Meteor Strike, so he can afford to get a little bit aggressive here. He can even eat that hook. He actually get a lot of shielding when he landed with Seismic Slam. On top of Shinoda, but he gets the shield. Mimi had his up as well. He will be forced back, and yes, the tank configuration that XQC and Co were waiting for Surefour to bring. Easy cleanup.
It's like you see Bastion in some of these games and you kind of just like laugh a little bit, but when you think about it, like Bastion as a character exists to play against comps like what Switzerland's running, right? Where you have, you know, large tanks that you just need to bow down, right? They can't hide behind the shield. You can just pump down a ton of damage. Like, That's why the Bastion exists. So it's
high damage, low mobility.
Yeah.
It's you know, it's just an archetype that's existed in many games before. But Shaw's a little bit troubled. He's going to back away and try and repair himself. The sound barrier gives Switz a little bit more durability. That's a big shatter from XQC though. That's going to make life very hard for Switzerland. And perhaps he predicted this last night. Okay, Shaw still on the Bastion because of course another tank configuration is just around the corner.
Yeah, you build it up so quick because there's so many large targets trying to come in. They do close the gap really fast, though, obviously, with the Lucio's speed boost. And Lux actually does hook Surefour in at the beginning of that fight, but he gets some help from XQC.
Oh, okay, Nano Booster Bastion now gets himself in the tank configuration, but he can't see the wood for the trees. Lux comes in with the whole hog. And Canada drawn into their demise. Agilities now obviously can reposition in a pinch with that Meteor Strike.
He's gonna spawn camp. He's gonna choose to spawn camp.
That's pretty tough. Scorpion's gonna hear the sound cue with that rocket punch charging up. He can just fade away if he really wants to.
He's looking for him.
Oh yeah, Scorpion fancies the 1v1. No, he just wants to hang out with his team. Respect it. Meanwhile, payload encroaching now towards the Foundry. Agilities is just trying to catch up in the backline here. May not even get here really in time. Surefour obviously interposes himself between Switzerland, but doesn't have an EMP, so he's very much just bluffing at this point. Earth Shatter for Mimi. Definitely wants to hit a big one here. Meteor Strike on top of him, though. That hurts. He's almost down to nothing. He does survive it thanks to the healing of Scorpion and co, but Switzerland have to slow down a little bit here.
And let's see if XQC can block this shatter that's going to come through. He landed a really nice shatter before. That'll be a sleep dart that connects. Onto Zarya there. Shinoda sleeping on the ground. Gets hit with a anti-grenade. That'll be the shatter. Gets nothing.
That's tough when you queue up an Earth Shatter and then you get sort of knocked out of position. You can't decide sort of when it will actually activate. You need to wait till you hit the ground. Sound barrier now for Canada. They see Switzerland trying to get a bit aggressive. They're going to turn it back in their favor. Both teams using those Lucio ultimates. And XQC's looking for another Earth Shatter. Big fire strike. He has it all charged up. Not willing to use it here as a fight is all but one already for Canada.
And Note builds up this Graviton Surge so fast, Mitch. About a minute to get this big Zarya ultimate.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that'll be Kiba off.
He's tying his shoelaces, guys.
Yeah.
Relax.
But
they happen to be right where Kiba was.
They used the nano boost on the Note during that fight, and his damage and ultimate charge just went through the roof there.
You can see there, at the start of that fight for Switzerland, Mimi 7 obviously went to shield Shinoda, his Zarya, right? The problem with that is that it means that your Zarya has to sleep for the entire duration. You kind of like, oh, maybe he'll take a little bit of splash damage and wake up immediately. They kind of put them out of sync a little bit at the start of that fight, and no, this is fun. We haven't seen much of his Zarya, obviously. Most of the time it was Kalios on that old Boston roster that showed this one off, but we know this guy is capable of it now. Swinging through the Graviton was XQC. Notes there with the follow-up damage, and Lux is trying to push forward to find a pick, maybe. But XQC's having none of it.
You see, once the Doomfist starts landing some of these moves, how large his health pool gets. Get up to about 400 HP. Agilities is almost at the max there, like 370. And then he kind of becomes another tank, right? You kind of put him in this equation. You throw like a nano boost on him, right? He's tough to take down.
And the thing is that he can continue to get more shield, right? As his abilities connect, you're generating more shields. As long as you're active in the fight, you're being rewarded for it. Agilities drops in, Seismic Slam's actually shielded off. Good time from Shinoda to protect his teammate. But Agilities is still so safe. That sound barrier now for Canada gives them so much room to breathe. Scorpion just tried to get it over with quickly, and Note has another grab. Canada are cycling ultimates right now, using things like Nano Boost to give the recipient a heck of a lot of damage and hence ult charge. So Note has the fight-winning ultimate next time around, and Switzerland don't really have an answer.
And Lux will play Tracer here. They're going to play Diva Ryan with a Tracer at this point of the map, going with a triple support, which is quite odd.
Try to eat the grab, maybe?
Shinoda was at like a 2-minute charge time, and his grab Note is less than a minute, 50 seconds right now.
Self-destruct. Oh, XQC's charging away. Actually doesn't get taken down by that one. It was a good bio nade coming out there from Crimso. Really cut Switzerland off at the knees, and they're not going to get much further at all now. Another bio nade out from Crimso, and Mimi 7 goes for an Earth Shatter, but again, nothing but a statement at this stage because Canada lock it up here on the streets phase.
I think the Doomfist is a real strong pick there for Canada. We showed a graphic yesterday. Canada and USA playing about
30%.
30% of the time they're running Doomfist, and everybody else here at the Burbank group stage playing about 1%. I feel like he's in such a good spot as a hero, especially with these tanks coming through, right? He can just get so much value with a lot of his abilities. It's kind of crazy not to run him. He can combo with so many other heroes as well.
I think it's a good indicator that teams like Canada and the USA are ahead of the curve globally, you know, in terms of their understanding of the game and sort of what's the most effective approach right now. Also, I mean, in all fairness, Canada have like 80% Sombra usage as opposed to very little amongst other teams. I think the US had 10.
Well, you think about Doomfist as a character, right? With a lot of Ryan Zarya, he combos good with them. And what's one of his like weaknesses? I think Doomfist is like closing the gap between other heroes and himself, where we don't see as much Widowmaker, we don't see as much Hanzo. So some of that long-range DPS out of the equation. Lucia with speed back in. So I think
a lot of healing that you can just sort of subsist through poke damage as you approach the enemy team.
So it makes a ton of sense that he's in, he's viable, he's doing well. Canada's come. Talk about making sense. Doesn't make a ton of it.
No.
But
again.
Look,
well, you know what they're trying to do.
Yeah, they're going to try and use the teleporter ability as Symmetra, try and get up to the high ground.
Great ability. Do right.
Use the Bastion up on the high ground. You got XQC playing the Orisa, be able to fault some people up. Remix, living up to his name.
Orisa probably one of XQC's least played main tanks, although you do see it fairly often. He will go for it, you know, on things like Nepal Sanctum and stuff like that. Essentially, his job, Matt, is to walk through that TP and protect his buddy Shawfall, keep him alive. Crimzo, Hanzo, I'm here for it. That's fine.
What is the call out from Lux here? He's just rolling out of the spawn.
Guys, I try to play Sombra. I'm trying to do what everyone else is doing, the stuff that works, and they just play Bastion against me. It's not fair. All right, here's the setup. Shinodi gets caught out. He already used his deflect. Shawfall gets caught, though. Nice bio-nade from downtown.
So I think the issue is Canada thought they were going to go into the top of the hotel and use the teleporter, and Agilities had put it down by the choke, and XQC actually doesn't make it through the teleporter before the teleporter gets eliminated there.
A couple of problems with that. Orisa doesn't fly or jump or run or really do anything but very standard locomotion. So you kind of want her to be there. You can't really drop down a rope ladder or get your Rapunzel on. You know?
Canada will change off this right away. Okay. We get to see Sherp playing McCree here. Triple support.
Oh, wow.
McCree, and that's a fast kill.
Yeah, I mean, Kiba was already demech'd, I think was the issue. That was just the result of the previous fight. So he was jumped on very quickly. Insta pick off. Shawfall got a lot of space here. Wants to push forward to get slightly aggressive. Sees Primal Rage, and that still doesn't bother him. Gets the flash. He's going to bail his teammate Crimzo out of trouble. Whereas Switzerland, they are highly up on this high ground, essentially, Matt. They've lost a lot of players. They're very split in their setup here. And they might just have to give this hand over fist to Canada.
Yeah, Remix sitting on the high ground there with Scorpion. Weren't able to do much there. They did use their nano boost on the Mimi 7. You were able to jump on Bonnie right away, but after that, got nothing for it. As Lux is still here behind enemy lines here, playing Sombra for Switzerland. See if he's able to get a hack on the Sherfor. But even if he does, he's getting pocketed by Bonnie. You got Crimzo there as well.
Yeah, again, there's always the risk of a flash. Very quick 180 flash from Sherfor. Okay, so he does find Crimzo. So the time Lux spent in the backline has yielded the result. XQC almost goes down. He leaves the front line because he was taking so much damage and sees another threat in his backline. This will slow Canada up a little bit. Lux has EMP, so that's something that Switzerland need to be playing in concert with.
They can't use all these ultimates, though. Here's going to be the EMP. They're going to use Dragon Blade as well.
You say that, Car.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they'll win this fight, though. But look at what they just set up. So they use their EMP. They use their Blade.
They're not going to win this fight, even.
And then...
Shawfall's got 3. He's looking for more now as well. Crimzo chasing Scorpion down, and Switzerland maybe not knowing when to get out.
How do you lose that? Yeah. I mean, I guess it happens, but... Sherfor will have a Deadeye. This is what they set up for Canada. Now they have all of these ultimates used here.
This is how you lose that, by the way.
You just don't look at the McCree?
No. Or you try to with your Genji with 10 health, and unfortunately not much he can do. Look at all the space he's got. Easy as you like. Potentially the last stanza of this particular bit of poetry as we approach the final point. What do they got, Matt? Well, I'll tell you what, they got a sound barrier. Shinoda's very low. He had to dash out, so we won't be able to join Mimi in the fight for a while. Shawfall manages to get the finish off there. XQC tries to avoid that self-destruct. He does. He gets around the corner. Shawfall, yeah, a little bit too close to the Angry Monkey Man. That's a 1-for-1 trade over this fight. But with Shawfall back, Crimzo's ready to hit that Transcendence to take them home.
Yeah, you got XQC with a Primal Rage. As he pushes on in, they'll use the Transcendence here. Nope, with the self-destruct over the top. But Sherfor still dominating on this McCree. That'll be 2 kills to put it away for Canada. They take map number 2, and the one fight that Switzerland should have won there when they were at the choke, And we saw from Surefour's perspective, the McCree is the easiest dive target there, and you're playing Winston, Sombra, Genji, and you're trying to take down the tanks and just letting the McCree shoot from range. If they would have dove the McCree, the tanks would have had to come back to heal for the McCree anyway. You would have gotten everybody, but it's just not great calling there from Switzerland.
You could see McCree's strengths in the mid to late fight really shine when he was sitting in the back line, had a little bit of room to breathe, was able just to take shots. I see you. I see you there. That's caught on quite a lot, that particular pose. But, you know, you can leave the McCree around, and yeah. And then, obviously, you know, late fight, your cooldowns aren't there, so your gap close abilities aren't necessarily available. Let's head over to the floor with Punker and get some words from the Swiss head coach, Shin.
Thank you so much. That's right. Give it up for Max, a.k.a. Shino here from Switzerland. Now, you've known these players for a while. You know these guys very well, and they've been playing against each other in the Swiss leagues. What is it like now playing up against Team Canada, which was made of fully Overwatch League talent in the previous year?
Wow, that's full different level. It's awesome, huge experience. Yeah, it's crazy.
And what's been the best part of this experience for your team throughout the 3 days?
Well, visiting LA, seeing like pro players, meeting the staff. Thank you, Blizzard, for all of this. It's awesome.
I love it. I love it. We love having you guys out here. You've been in great spirits despite some of the early losses. Let's talk about the second half, because in the halftime, you'll get a chance to talk with the players and figure out some goals moving into Game 3. Who's been causing the most trouble from Team Canada so far?
Well, obviously, Sombra is kind of OP right now, and Surefour is really good on her, so he's scouting every move. So, yeah, Surefour probably.
Lane Roberts, that naughty troll. All right, well, I know you got to get back to your team. One last thing before you go. Anything you want to say to your countrymen who are cheering you on back in Switzerland?
Well, thanks to be here. It's really good to have like local crowd like cheering for us. And easy reverse sweep, right?
Easy reverse sweep. It's going to Game 5, guys. We'll find out if they can pull it off on the other half of this match. We'll be right back.